Before the billions, before the empire, before the crown of daytime television was placed on her head, there was just Oprah, a young woman from Mississippi who wanted to be loved. Born in poverty, molded by pain, Oprah Winfrey learned early that love wasn't given freely. It was earned, chased, fought for. She carried that ache into every room she walked into, even as she became one of the most powerful women in the world. But behind her radiant smile and her powerful presence was a heart that was bruised, broken, and rebuilt again and again. In the 1970s, Oprah was rising fast. She had just landed her first major television job, and there, she met her first great love, a charming, ambitious man who promised forever. But as her fame grew, his pride shattered. He couldn't handle her success. She couldn't handle his jealousy. They fought. They reconciled. They broke apart again. And Oprah, the woman who could speak to millions, found herself silenced in her own home by heartbreak. She once admitted in tears, "I stayed in relationships where I didn't belong because I wanted to be chosen." That single sentence would define much of her emotional journey. By the 1980s, Oprah was no longer just a TV personality. She was a movement. Millions tuned in daily. And yet, loneliness clung to her like a shadow. Then came Stedman Graham, tall, calm, composed. He wasn't intimidated by her power. He admired it, and that admiration quickly turned into something deeper. The world fell in love with the image, Oprah and Stedman, the perfect couple. But behind that illusion was tension. The media hounded them. When will they marry? Is he using her for fame? Why hasn't Oprah settled down? Every interview, every photograph dissected. Every ring she wore turned into a headline. But Oprah and Stedman shared a secret truth. They didn't need a marriage certificate to validate their bond. Yet, that decision fueled endless controversy. Some said she was too powerful for love. Others whispered that Stedman was just her trophy partner. And Oprah simply smiled. But that smile hid wars. As the 90s rolled in, Oprah's success exploded beyond imagination. Her show ruled the airwaves. Her magazine inspired millions. Her bank account crossed into the hundreds of millions. But with success came envy. And with envy came betrayal. Rumors surfaced. A close friend had sold her personal letters to the press. Another claimed Oprah's relationships were arranged for the cameras. She was furious. For the first time, Oprah fired back publicly. "I've been betrayed by people I fed," she said, her voice trembling on air. That moment was raw, unfiltered, real. And it showed the price of power. Love, in Oprah's world, could never just be private. It had to survive fame, fortune, and gossip. In 1992, Oprah and Stedman made headlines once again. They announced their engagement. The world erupted in joy. But then, silence. No wedding bells. No vows. No ceremony. Just Oprah carrying on with her empire. In an interview years later, she confessed, "The moment we decided to get married, something shifted. I realized I didn't want the kind of life marriage would require. My life is my work." It wasn't cold. It was clarity. She had finally learned that love didn't have to fit into the world's expectations. But behind that revelation was also heartbreak, because choosing herself meant walking away from a dream she once longed for. The early 2000s brought success, but also emotional exhaustion. Oprah faced controversies over her weight, her friendships, even her mentorship. Then came the school scandal in South Africa, an alleged abuse case at her girls' academy. The headlines were merciless. They didn't just attack her project, they questioned her integrity. Behind the cameras, Oprah was devastated. She broke down on live television, her voice shaking as she said, "This has been one of the most devastating experiences of my life." Even Stedman stood quietly by her side, watching the woman he loved crumble under public scrutiny. But through every fall, she rose, stronger, wiser, and more guarded. Oprah's fame wasn't built without friction. Behind closed doors, she clashed with colleagues, producers, even celebrity guests. her feud with David Letterman, her rumored tension with Whoopi Goldberg, her awkward fallout with her longtime friend Gayle King, which tabloids exaggerated into friendship over. But the real fights were quieter, inside her own heart. The fight between fame and freedom, between love and legacy. She once confessed, "You can have it all, but not all at once." And she knew that better than anyone. Oprah's deepest wounds were never from critics. They were from love lost. Before Stedman, before fame, there was a time she fell for a married man, a painful affair she rarely speaks of. It ended badly. He left her heartbroken and humiliated. That pain never truly left her. It shaped the woman she became, strong, guarded, careful. She built walls not to keep love out, but to protect herself from repeating that pain. And though she now stands as one of the richest and most respected women alive, the cost of that power was personal peace. Today, Oprah Winfrey is a global icon, philanthropist, producer, and eternal inspiration. But her journey through love, scandal, and heartbreak remains one of Hollywood's most powerful emotional stories. She learned that love wasn't always romantic. Sometimes it was self-love. Sometimes it was forgiveness. And sometimes it was simply learning to let go. When asked if she regrets not marrying, she smiled.
No.
I have the love of my life, my partner, my work, and my peace. I have everything that truly matters. So who is Oprah Winfrey really? She's the woman who turned pain into purpose, who turned heartbreak into hope, who chose herself, again and again, no matter what the world demanded. Her story isn't about fairy tales or perfect endings. It's about survival, strength, and the courage to define love on her own terms. Because in the end, Oprah didn't need to marry to prove she was worthy of love. She just needed to love herself, loudly, unapologetically, and forever.